Hi, I'm Jennifer Johnson, and welcome to this week's Excel Tip of the Week. Today, we're going to be talking about formula auditing. When it comes to formula auditing, the first thing we might need to know is where are all the formulas placed in our Excel workbook? So I've got a worksheet open that's got some formulas located on it. Formulas can be displayed by going to your Formula tab on your ribbon and then selecting the Show Formulas from the Formula Auditing section. When you click on Show Formulas, you can see that cells that contain formulas are displayed, and you can see the formulas that are built into each cell. You can hide those formulas again by clicking on Show Formulas one more time, and the formulas disappear. So that's a great starting point just to see where those formulas are located. The next thing you might want to do, though, is trace a formula. So what cells are dependent on a certain number and what cells depend on a different number? So we have things called precedents and dependents. So precedents are cells that provide data to a formula. A dependent is another cell that relies on the result of a formula for information. So let's take a look at my spreadsheet here, and you can see that we're calculating the contribution margin and operating income. When we displayed our formulas, you could see that everything in rows 9 through 13 had formulas in them. Now let's take a look in this formula auditing area. I'm going to select contribution margin as my cell. When I select the contribution margin calculation, I'm going to click on Trace Precedents. Trace Precedents is located in the Formula section or the tab on your ribbon. And when I click Trace Precedents, you can see that 2 blue dots and some arrows appeared. These are the cells that are feeding the formula. So the sales and the variable cost go into the calculation of my contribution margin. So that helps me quickly see visually where the data comes from to calculate contribution margin. Let me remove those arrows. Again, you can go to the Formula tab and select Remove Arrows from the Formula Auditing section. Well, we know what feeds into my contribution margin calculation, but what depends on my contribution margin calculation? So I'm keeping my mouse and my cursor on the contribution margin, and now I'm going to select Trace Dependents. When I select Trace Dependents, what you can see is this one cell that I've selected is a dependent, and it feeds into operating income. So operating income depends on my contribution margin. I can again remove my arrows to hide them and not display them. So as you are looking at formulas, as you're trying to figure out why something is working the way it is or why it's not working the way it's supposed to, you can display the formulas and then you can trace what feeds into the formula or what that number does and where it goes into other locations. And that's a little bit of formula auditing. Thanks for joining me this week.